I'm not interested in the occult or dabbling in black magic or any of these kinds of things, or for that matter, strange sort of forms of mysticism. I am purely interested in being open-minded. And after all, there are so many inventions and things that have happened and been proved scientifically in the past, which everybody totally poo-pooed before they were proven.
I just had to put, is it September 12th?
13th, sir.
Oh God, I'm the wrong date. 13th?
Yes, sir.
You said 12 earlier.
Where did I put the 12th? I said 10th. Oh God, I hate this.
Oh look, it's going everywhere. So nobody got to wrong.
What is that?
Oh look, it's everywhere.
Can't bear this bloody thing. Bloody thing. Bloody thing. What are they doing? Everyone's stinking.
This is King Charles III. He just recently ascended to the throne following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. And if you've seen my previous video on King Charles III, What You Need to Know, you will know that I exposed the Rothschild family's connections to the British royal family and how they've used a network of pedophiles to exert a great deal of control over the royals still to this day. In fact, here we can see a picture of Robert Maxwell and his daughter Ghislaine Maxwell meeting with the Queen in 1983. Of course, Ghislaine Maxwell is the partner of Jeffrey Epstein, who ran a child trafficking pedophile ring and a blackmailing operation, who was directly connected to the Queen. And here we can see Prince Andrew, the King's brother, here pictured with Ghislaine Maxwell and the young lady who has accused him of having sex with her when she was a minor, ladies and gentlemen. And now Jeffrey Epstein's sex abuse victims are frustrated that his friend Prince Andrew has been rehabilitated in the Queen's death events. Seems they're trying to revive the image of the prince following the death of the Queen, but people are never going to forget his connections to this man right here, Jeffrey Epstein. And it really should come as no surprise when you consider the fact that his own brother here is heavily connected to the UK's most prolific pedophile, Jimmy Savile, as they can be seen here hanging out time and time again, over and over again. These guys are just the best of buddies. And he's continued this kind of tradition, I guess you could say, of hanging out with these serial sex offenders. I mean, here you can be seen with Kevin Spacey receiving an honorary knighthood from the prince, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's right. This is the same Kevin Spacey who is charged in the UK with 4 counts of sexual assault. So yes, this man has indeed, and his family, his brothers, all been hanging out with an elite ring of pedophiles who are controlling them moving forward. And as you can see here, guys, they're nothing like you and I. I mean, here you can see, like, telling his servants to move this for me. I can't be expected to move things on my own. Here he's seen, you know, getting frustrated once again. Hey, look at him, hey, get this, you didn't get this out of the way for me. And then that was followed up not that long later with King Charles losing it over a pen again. Every stinking time, he says. And I showed you that clip in the very beginning, but something that I think people are failing to notice here is like this, where he says right here, oh God, I put the wrong date down. It's the 13th. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is blasphemy. When you replace the name of Jesus or God with a curse word, so let's say you accidentally slam your thumb with a hammer and you want to shout out, you know, a word, and instead of one that begins with maybe SH, you decide to replace that curse word with Jesus Christ's name or God himself. That's blasphemy. That was in the Old Testament, you know, so serious to God that it was punishable by death. Now, why am I bringing that up, ladies and gentlemen? Well, precisely because of the fact that the king has sworn an oath. The sovereign takes an oath swearing to govern faithfully with justice and mercy to uphold the gospel, to maintain the doctrine and worship of the Church of England, and in 1953, for the first time, this part of the ceremony ended with the presentation of a Bible. To keep your majesty ever mindful of the law and gospel of God as the rule for the whole life and the government of Christian princes, ladies and gentlemen. And why is this important? Well, because this man is now the head of the Church of England. King Charles tells religious leaders at a reception at Buckingham Palace that I will protect the space for faith. King Charles today affirmed his commitment to his role as a religious leader, saying his work must include protecting the space for faith. The newly crowned monarch, who is king, is now head of the Church of England, also said that it was his duty to protect the diversity of this country. Well, as we will see from this very candid interview, ladies and gentlemen, where he talks about Ouija boards and black magic and witchcraft and the occult, that he is in fact in favor of everything that is in direct contrast to what the gospel says and to what he directly swore an oath to. So we're going to go over this very candid interview today as well, guys, but I also wanted to show you this. Here's King Charles I, here's King Charles II, and here's King Charles III. King Charles I of England was beheaded by his own people. Charles II ruled during a plague and the Great Fire of London. The world now awaits the reign of King Charles III. And as I said, he's not like you or I. King Charles now doesn't have to pay any kind of a tax on the Queen's private estate worth more than $750 million. Not only that, guys, he also doesn't have to travel with a passport. He doesn't need to drive with the driver's license. And by default, he owns all the swans in England and Wales. Yeah, well, I'll show you that. It's hard to believe, but it's true. This is his father, who is famously quoted as saying that if he is reincarnated, he would like to come back as a virus so as to deal with the overpopulation problem. And this is the king's grandfather, seen here in his Masonic regalia. And in case you didn't know, King George absolutely loved Freemasonry. As we see here, George VI was initiated in the Navy Lodge number 26112 on December 2nd, 1919, and was installed as its master in 1921, an enthusiastic Freemason. He joined several lodges and different Masonic orders. He was the senior Grand Warden of the United Grand Lodge of England in 1923 and the Provincial Grand Master of Middlesex from 1924 to 1937. So, you know, since we're talking about his grandfather and also his father, I thought I'd also show you guys that there is an Aussie man who is now claiming to be the King Charles's son, who just dropped a huge bombshell. That's right, King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla's alleged love child is applying for a DNA test, and they will have to apparently answer to that. So we have so much information to cover in today's video, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do, I want to tell you about my friends at Patriot Gold Group, because we are in crazy times right now. There is the changing of the guards, so to speak. It's like a new era where the current power elite are all dying off. You know, the Queen, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the likes of, you know, Kissinger and Soros. All these guys are dying off, but they have children and grandchildren who didn't necessarily experience the First and Second World Wars like their parents and grandparents did, but they are power hungry and ready to take over the reins. And this is happening as we are speaking, ladies and gentlemen. And as I've told you time and time again on this channel, gold and silver and precious metals are the best hedge that you can have against what we know is directly heading soon down the pipe. So I wanted to tell you about my friends at Patriot Gold Group, guys. When you call this number, 1-888-270-8670, you get connected to a free consultant, and they're going to give you a free investing kit. And they're going to help you set up a plan moving forward. They offer IRAs and 401ks that are backed by silver and gold, literally physical precious metals. It's an amazing thing. This is a great hedge against inflation. As you can see here, it's a hedge against the dollar, and it's a fantastic way to get yourself some precious medals moving forward. As I said, we're in crazy times right now, guys, and the time to get yourself protected is now. These guys are top of the line, Patriot Gold, #1 rated IRA dealer by Consumer Affairs, 5 years in a row, guys. Again, top notch. I would not be bringing them to your attention if I didn't know they were a credible company. And like I said, when you call this number right here, you get connected to a live person for free, a consultant who will help you work out a plan. This is a preferred phone number for Press for Truth viewers. If you don't want to make the call and talk to a real person, you can just fill out the form right here, and someone will get back to you, and they will help you start to set up a plan today. As I said, guys, it's crunch time right now. There is a major shift happening with the power structure globally, and unless you take the right steps to make sure you are protected as a hedge against the coming global recession and crash of the dollar, then you're going to be falling way behind and totally screwed, guys. But if you call this number on the screen, you can make the right moves today to ensure that you're going to be protected. So be sure to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group, guys. There's a link located right here in the description below. All right, guys, I want to get into the fact that the current king has sworn an oath to uphold the gospel, and he's now telling religious leaders that he is going to essentially protect the space for faith. But as we will see in this interview, he basically admits that what he's actually interested in is the direct opposite of what the gospel would want him to preach. But before we get into that, let's take a look at this, where he doesn't have to pay any kind of taxes on the $750 million that he's just essentially inherited. King Charles will have not have to pay any inheritance tax on the Duchy of Lancaster's estate that he disinherited from the Queen due to a rule allowing assets to be passed from one sovereign to another. Charles automatically inherited the state, the monarch's primary source of income, while his eldest son, Prince William, inherited the Duchy of Cornwall estate, valued at more than $1 billion from his father. The new king will avoid inheritance tax on the estate worth more than $750 million due to a rule that was introduced by the UK government in 1993 to guard against the royal family's assets being wiped out if two monarchs were to die in a short period of time. Yeah, I'm sure that's the real reason why they did that, right? And this is interesting as well, in case you didn't know, guys. Here's some of the strange rules that the king doesn't have to follow by, like no license or passport. King Charles III will travel overseas without a passport. He will not need one, as travel documents are issued in his own name. It'd be like saying, by the power invested in me, by me, here's your license. So it doesn't really make sense, I suppose. The king will also be the only person in Britain, for the same reason, who can drive without a driver's license. He also has 2 birthdays. He's not allowed to vote. But this is something that I found kind of peculiar. Since the 12th century, unmarked mute swans in waters across England and Wales are considered the property of the monarch. Yeah, he owns all the swans, just in case you didn't know. But again, I wanted to get into, who this man truly swears an allegiance to, and whether or not he's actually upholding the gospel. And as I said, his own father apparently believes in reincarnation and wants to come back as a virus, and his own grandfather was a master mason in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. We already read this, but let's continue here. He was elected Grand Master Mason of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in 1936 and was appointed a past Grand Master of England in 1937. Oops. Although he formally withdrew from Freemasonry after he was crowned King of England in 1937, he personally installed his brother, George, Duke of Kent, as Grand Master in 1939, the Earl of Harewood in 1943, and the Duke of Devonshire in 1948. The Museum of Freemasonry owns several items of regalia that belonged to King George VI, including aprons, jewels, and sashes. An oil painting of George VI is also housed in Freemasons Hall by Sir James Gunn, alongside several photographs in the museum and the collection. In case you guys didn't know as well, I went down to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree in the Southern jurisdiction in the United States, and I put out this expose called Enter the House of the Temple. And this is an expose that I did. It only exists on YouTube. That's why I'm showing you this. I was only posting on YouTube back in 2013. But here I went around inside the Grand Lodge, which is like 13 blocks from the White House, explaining how all this works, guys. I went through the whole thing. And funny enough, well, not really funny, but I mean, it's just true that ever since I put out this expose of the Grand Master Lodge in Washington, D.C., they still offer tours. As you can see here, we're opening for visiting tours. They got mask mandate updates. You can still go on a tour, but you are no longer allowed to film inside because of this expose that I put out. Guys, if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. I'm going to put links to all this in the description below. But anyways, a little bit sidetracked, but it is important because, as we said, King Charles's father is a staunch Freemason, and of course in Freemasonry you take part in a great deal of rituals and blatantly satanic activities that are directly contrast to how a Christian should live their lives. So here you have his grandfather being a Freemason, you have his father believing in reincarnation, and the current king is supposed to be upholding the gospel, the son and grandson of those two guys, and here he is now the head of England. Well, let's take a look at what he truly believes. As in this very candid interview, they were talking about the field of alternative medicine, and then the interviewer turns it on him and says, interesting, do you carry that belief into your beliefs into mysticism? And just listen to what he has to say. This is quite revealing.
I am concerned about is that complementary medicine or other ways of looking at the person, in other words, looking at the person not so much as a machine, but as a whole person, in the classic ancient sense, is very important, and I don't think we should forget this aspect. And I also feel there are certain aspects of complementary forms of medicine which can have a great deal of value and effect for certain.
Now listen to where this interview goes.
And all I am making a plea for is a slightly more open-minded approach to this sort of thing than to just shut it off and say it doesn't exist, because there are plenty of cases, and for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, where such forms of medical treatment have worked. There's no doubt about it.
Does that extend to your interest in spiritualism, mysticism?
Well, yes, absolutely.
So he says, does that extend into, you looking into spiritualism and mysticism? And he says, well yes. And just to give you a bit of background, at the time of this interview, a lot of people were exposing the royal family's connections to the likes of Aleister Crowley and pointing out the fact that they were dabbling in the occult. They were engaging with literally black magic and were being called out for it. Now listen to him here get so defensive about this as he tries to, kind of do damage control about what was being exposed. And just listen closely here.
Again, it's entirely, I think, I've been riveted by the way in which all this has developed, because I have seen articles shown to me saying that I play with Ouija boards, which I don't even know what they are. Literally, I've never seen one. I might as well say it. I might as well emphasize it, because I'm fed up with getting letters from people all the time saying, don't touch the Ouija boards. And it's bad for your health. What I find so annoying is that it should be reduced again to this level of total absurdity. I'm not interested in the occult or dabbling in black magic or any of these kinds of things, or for that matter,
look at him squirming.
Strange sort of forms of mysticism. I am purely interested in being open-minded. And after all, there are so many inventions and things that have happened and been proved scientifically in the past, which everybody totally poo-pooed before they were proven.
So he squirms quite a bit there, saying, I'm not into the occult. I'm just open-minded. I just want to push forward with an open mind. That's not what the gospel necessarily is saying when it comes to other world religions. And here, let me just explain what he says, which is in direct contrast to the gospel. Okay, let's just read this. King Charles today affirmed his commitment to his role as religious leader, saying his work must include protecting the space for faith itself. We already read that, so let's continue. During the reception, he said he valued differences which people live by, adding, I've always thought of Britain as a community of communities. That has led me to understand that the sovereign has an additional duty, less formally recognized, but no less diligently discharged. Says here, it is the duty to protect the diversity of our country, including by protecting the space for faith itself, as it's practiced through the religions, cultures, and traditions and beliefs to which our hearts and our minds direct us as individuals. That is the part that is directly contrary to the gospel itself, as I was trying to say. No, the Bible tells us differently, folks. It says it is the fool who follows his heart and his mind to direct the individual. The fool looks to his heart and his mind to direct the individual. Yet that's what he is saying he wants to represent for the Church of England, who he now represents. And again, this is in direct contrast to the gospel. Again, this really shouldn't be a major surprise when you realize that, you know, this guy was connected to some of the UK's most prolific pedophiles, even down to the point of his mom here meeting Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, and, you know, Epstein being involved intimately with them. We know that his father believes in reincarnation. His grandfather is a staunch Freemason. This man, ladies and gentlemen, is not a Christian as he professes to be. He is not going to uphold the gospel moving forward as he swore an oath to do. Instead, he is going to push the lie that it is up to the individual's own mind and heart, and he's going to deny the gospel truth that we must relinquish our sovereignty to the true King of Kings. That is something this man will never, never admit to. And that is something that I wanted to bring to your attention today, ladies and gentlemen. If you do appreciate my efforts to do that, please share this video. You know, the algorithms on places like YouTube are designed to stop this type of information from being seen, to protect the king. But with your help, we can get past that by just sharing the videos, commenting, liking, and share it from other platforms as well, not just YouTube. But go to my Odyssey, my BitChute, my Minds, my Rumble. All the links are located in the description below, guys. Also, don't forget to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group. You call that number right there on the screen. You're going to get a free investing a guide, someone, a real person, not an automated system, somebody you can talk to who's going to set you up with the plan to get you taken care of today, as we're currently seeing this changing of the guards, this out with the old, in with the new. But this new power-hungry elite are going to do everything they can, not only maintain control, but to gain an even tighter grip on it, guys. So again, make sure you are protected moving forward. And that is all for today, my friends. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to share that, click that thumbs up button and share this video. And stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming very soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.